fried egg. When you have a fried egg and the yellow bit, the yolk, is all runny and it spills onto the plate, how do you clean it off your plate? With your knife or your fork? I once said to my brother, I bet a fork's best, and he said, I bet a knife's best. So we scraped and scraped, and I was sure, in fact I could see, as plain can see, that my fork had done it better than his knife. Mine's best, I said. Mine's best, he said. No, mine is, I said. No, mine is, he said. Mum, whose is best, I said. She looked at the plates. I think they're just about the same, she said. I didn't say anything. I just knew that she was wrong. My fork was better than his knife for getting egg yolk off plates. It was as simple as that. It made me so angry. I thought, why doesn't he admit it? I know he knows mine is best.
The car trip. Mum says, right you two, this is a long car journey. I'm driving and I can't drive properly if you two are going mad in the back. Do you understand? So we go, okay, Mum, okay. Don't worry about it. And off we go. And then we start the moaning. Can I have a drink? I want some crisps. Can I open my window? He's got my book. Get off me! That's my ear! And Mum tries to be exciting. Look out the window. There's a lamppost. And then we go on, can I have a sweet? He's sitting on me. Are we nearly there? Don't scratch. You never tell him off. Now he's biting his nails. I want a drink. I want a drink. And Mum tries to be exciting again. Look out the window. There's a tree. And then we go on. My hands are sticky. He's playing with the door handle now. I feel a bit sick, actually. Your nose is all runny. Don't pull my hair. He's punching me, Mum. That's really dangerous, you know. Mum, he's spitting. And Mum says, right, I'm stopping the car. I am stopping the car. She stops the car. Now, if you two don't stop it, I'm going to put you out the car and leave you by the side of the road. He started it. I didn't. He started it. I don't care who started it. I can't drive properly if you two go mad in the back. Do you understand? And we go, okay, Mum, okay. Don't worry about it. Can I have a drink?
Fossils and my brother. My brother works at the Natural History Museum in London. He's a fossil. No, sorry, I got that wrong. He looks after the fossils. Looks after the fossils? What sort of job is that? I mean, it can't be very hard, can it? I mean, they're just like stones. They don't jump at you like if you're looking after a tiger. Yeah, imagine that. You come down in the morning, there's a tiger, you go up to it and you say, what do you want to eat? And the tiger goes, you! Ah! Well, that would be hard, wouldn't it? No, my brother looks after fossils. I went to his room 40 years ago and there were 4 fossils sitting on a shelf. And I said, what are you doing, Brian? And he said, looking after the fossils. Well, they're not going to jump off the wall, are they? I said. He said, oh, well, you never know. Yeah, that's what I'm here for. Yeah? Well, I went to his office the other day. The 4 fossils were still there on the shelf. I said, Brian, the fossils are still there. And he said, yeah, that's right. That's because I was here. So now listen, if ever you find a fossil and you don't know what it's called, you can pick it up, say, and you shout at it, Dave, Melanie, and it doesn't answer. You know what you can do? You can take it to the Natural History Museum in London and you go up to one of the people in uniform and tell them you've got a fossil and you don't know its name. Dave, Melanie, you see, it doesn't answer. And you know what they do? They send for my brother, Dr. Brian Rosen. And he lives in a cave underneath the museum. He wears a kind of leopard skin bikini and he's got a great big club. Hoo, hoo, yeah? And he comes up from down below the museum and you'll hear him coming. Hoo, hoo, hoo. And suddenly, boing! The big double doors open. And there in front of you, there he is in his leopard skin bikini. And you can go up to him and say, hello, yeah, I've found a fossil and I don't know its name. See, Dave, Melanie, look, see, it doesn't answer. And my brother takes a magnifying glass, out of his leopard skin bikini bottom, and it's one of those little ones, you know, and he puts it in his eye, and it makes his eye go all really big. And then he says he studies it really hard, and he says, no, that's not Dave. No, that's not Melanie. That is an ammonite. Or maybe you'll say, that is a belemnite. And you'll be very pleased. And you know, if it's a really, really good one, do you know what he does then? He nicks it off you. Yeah, he does. Because if it's really, really good, it doesn't belong to you. No, it doesn't belong to him. Do you know who it belongs to? The Queen. And you know, if you go to Buckingham Palace, you'll see that it's stuffed full of old fossils.
Babysitter. Sometimes my mum and dad used to go out. This meant that my brother had to babysit me. He hated it because I just wouldn't go to bed when he told me to. He was 4 years older than me. Well, actually, he still is. He'd shout, he'd rant and rave, "Will you go to bed?" But I never went until I heard the front door open with mum and dad coming back. And then I'd be upstairs into bed in a flash. Anyway, after a few months of this, my mum and dad tried something new. Just before they went out, they said, "Right, Mick, you go to bed before we go out and you stay there." Okay, I said, okay. Yeah, okay. And off I went to bed. I lay there waiting to hear the front door close. Slam! And straight away, I was out the bed, down the stairs, into my brother's room. There he is, sitting there, reading. First of all, he tries, "I'm not taking any notice of Michael." He goes on reading. I think, I'll make him notice. I put my face behind the book with my eye peeping round the edge of the book. Every time he gets to the end of a line, his eye looks into my eye. He tries to pretend I'm not there. It's no good. He can't. My eye is peeping away like mad round the edge of the book. He starts to laugh. Look, yeah, look, he says, "Look, this isn't fair. You promised you'd stay in bed. I'll tell him, I will." So now I go and stand by the door and I fiddle. I make little rattly noises with the handle and the key. Fiddle diddle, riddle diddle. He tries to pretend I'm not there. It's no good. He can't. I'm rattling away like mad with the handle and the key. He starts to laugh. "All right," he says, "look, right, that's it." He sounds like he's going to really do for me. So now he tries, "I'm going to be so boring, Michael will get so fed up, he'll go back to bed." He starts up a chant. Go to bed, 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 go to bed. He doesn't stop. Go to bed, go to bed, go to bed, go to bed. He goes on for ages. Go to bed, go to bed, go to bed. I try to talk to him. "Hey, what do you want for your birthday, Brian?" "Go to bed, go to bed, go to bed." "Do you want a sweet?" "Go to bed, go to bed, go to bed." "Hey, you've got a pimple on the end of your nose, you know." "Go to bed, go to bed, go to bed." And I'm still fiddling with the door. I lock it. I unlock it. I lock it. I try to unlock it. Go to bed, go to bed, go. "Brian, I can't unlock the door." "Go to bed, go to bed." "Brian, the key's stuck." He stops. Suddenly he looks pleased and he settles down with his book and waits. Meanwhile, I've got big bother. They're going to come back and find me here, and I've got out of bed and I've come in his room and I've locked the door and it's really late and it's all my fault. I try and I get that key to work. Fiddle, riddle, diddle, diddle, fiddle, riddle, diddle, diddle. For 3 hours I'm at it, and all the time my brother is not taking any notice of Michael. The front door opens. "Hello," my mum calls out. She gets to my brother's door. "Did Michael stay in bed all right?" She's trying to turn the handle. "Let us in, Brian," says my dad cheerily. No answer from us inside. My brother is waiting for me to say something. I'm hoping he'll say something. We're looking at each other. "Come on, Brian," says my dad, getting a bit cross. Oh no, the moment I dread when Dad goes from being cheery to absolutely furious. In a weedy little voice I say, "I locked the door." That really winds them up. There's my mum. Is that you, Michael? You still up? You promised you'd stay in bed. It isn't fair on Brian. And there's my dad, and he's roaring. Would you believe it, the little pig? And the door's jammed. I'll have to break it down. God, when I get inside, oh, he's going to be in for big trouble. And me, I'm standing there all shaky and sorry and shuddery. But my brother, what's he doing? He's smiling all over his big face. Yeah, he took the key out, passed it under the door, and they opened it, and I dashed out off to bed faster than an electronic rabbit. Me and my brother, we sit up in bed doing my dad's sayings. I go to bed first, and I'm just dozing off, and I hear a funny voice going, "Never let me see you doing that again." And it's my brother poking his finger out, just like my dad, going, "Never let me see you doing that again." And so I join in, and we're both going, "Never let me see you doing that again." So what happens next time I get into trouble? And my dad is telling me off, and he's going, "Never let me see you doing that again." So I'm looking up at my dad and I'm going, "Sorry, Dad, yeah, sorry." And I suddenly catch sight of my brother's big face poking out from behind my dad. And while my dad is poking me with his finger in time with the words, "Never let me see you doing that again," just where I can see him, and my brother is saying the words as well with his mouth without making a sound. So I start laughing. And so my dad says, "And it's no laughing matter." Of course, my brother knows that one as well, and he's going with his mouth, "And it's no laughing matter." But my dad's not stupid. He knows something's going on, so he looks round. And there's my brother with his finger poking out just like my dad. And I'm standing there laughing, "Oh no!" And that's when we get into really big trouble. Okay, we got the next. London Airport. Once my brother said, "Why don't we go to London Airport for your birthday treat? We could spend all day there, London Airport, looking at the planes. It would be great." "Yeah," I said, "it would be great." Mum said yes, so we took sandwiches and chocolate and drinks. I was really looking forward to it. When we got there, my brother found out that there was this bus that you could go on, a kind of trip round the runways so you could get right close up to the big jets. Great, really great. So he got the tickets and we got onto the bus, and as we were getting on, I said, "Brian, I want a wee." So he goes, "Well, you can't now. This is the last bus today. It's just about to go. We won't get on another one. Brian, I want a wee." So he goes, "Look, you can't now. It'll wait. It's not that long a time to wait." So we got on. The bus started up and away we went. The driver starts going, "We're coming to runway 4 now. If you look to your right, you can see 2 planes. I'm dying for a wee." I said, "It'll go away," says my brother. "I want a wee." I said, "What's the matter?" said the man in front. "He wants a wee," said my brother. "Well, you can wait, can't you?" said the man. "No." I said, "Well, don't do it here, will you, Sonny?" He says. "Can we stop the bus?" I said. "Don't be daft," says my brother. We're on the end of runway 4. You can't do a wee on the end of runway 4. And the bloke driving the bus goes, "If you look out of your window, you can see a baggage truck." "I'm going to wet myself," I said. My brother says, "Look, there's Concorde. Just think of something else, will you?" "I can't," I said. "It's hurting. I've got to do it. I've got to do it." The bus went on. We saw more planes. And more planes. And more planes. "You haven't wet yourself, have you?" my brother says. "No." More planes. More planes. More planes. "Here goes," I said. Then the bus stopped. I rushed off the bus. I got to the toilet and everything was lovely once again. Wonderful. And then we went home. Mum said, "Did you have a good time, boys?" And my brother said, "It was great. Really great." "And how about you?" she said to me. "How was your birthday treat?" "All right." I said, "All right. But I wanted a wee and they wouldn't let me." And I cried. May. A woman called May used to look after us sometimes. Her husband was a bus conductor and he could wink with both eyes. Fantastic. We used to meet him on the bus. And when we got our tickets off him, if we were lucky, he'd wink one eye, then wink the other eye, again and again, really fast. Fantastic. But best was May. When she came over after tea, we played games. My favourite was raisins. This is how we played raisins. We tipped the raisins out of the raisins jar and we each guessed how many raisins there were. 148, I'd say. 231, May'd say. Then we took one raisin each, counting. I take one, put it in my mouth. May takes one, 2, she puts it in her mouth. I take one, 3 into my mouth. May takes one, 4 in her mouth, and so it went on. 131 in my mouth, 132 in her mouth. I love raisins, all chewy and sweet. 201 in my mouth, 202 in May's mouth, 203, last one in my mouth. May had guessed best. She had guessed 231. But now we'd eaten all the raisins. They were all gone. The jar was empty. Could be trouble. Anyway, then it was bedtime. At tea time the next day, we were having fruit salad, and my brother said, I'll have raisins on this. He went to the cupboard and he saw the empty jar and he goes, where have all the raisins gone? The jar was full yesterday. Mum, he's eaten them all. Look at his face. You can see he's eaten them. Tell him off, Mum, tell him off. And Mum says to me, did you eat them? And I say, me and May did. And my brother says, see, I told you, it's not fair, Mum. He's a greedy little pig. And then a picture came into my mind of the night before of me and May counting the raisins into our mouths, all chewy and sweet. So I said, I'm not a greedy little pig. And Mum said to my brother, raisins don't last all week, you know. But I didn't tell anyone about our game. Raisins, 203. The bump. I'm in the middle of a wrestle with my brother and I find my face right up close to his ear and I see the bump. The bump is just next to his ear. It's all shiny and when you press it, it goes in like a push button. He says it doesn't hurt, it just sits there. The bump. Mum says that when he was born, it wasn't a bump, it was a shtickle. I said, what's a shtickle? And she said, like a little stick sticking out of the side of his head. She said they tied it up with a bit of cotton and it died until all that was left was the bump. The little shiny bump.
My brother's on the floor roaring. My brother is on the floor roaring. Why is my brother on the floor roaring? My brother is on the floor roaring because he's supposed to finish his beans before he has his pudding. But he doesn't want to finish his beans before he has his pudding. He says he wants his pudding now, but they won't let him. So now my brother is on the floor roaring. They're saying, I give you one more chance to finish those beans or you don't go to Tony's. But he's not listening because he's on the floor roaring. He's getting told off. I'm not. I've eaten my beans. And do you know what I'm doing now? I'm eating my pudding. But he's on the floor roaring. If he wasn't on the floor roaring, he'd see me eating my pudding. And if he looked really close, he might see a little tiny smile just at the corner of my mouth, but he's not looking. He's on the floor roaring. The pudding is okay. It's not wonderful. Not wonderful enough to be sitting on the floor and roaring about. Unless you're my brother. Pneumonia. My brother has pneumonia and the house is quiet. I'm allowed in his room for a short time only. My brother has pneumonia and the house is quiet. When I go in, he shows me a little row of glass bottles with rubber lids that go. He shows me a tiny cardboard locomotive he's made, and we go dig-a-doo, dig-a-doo. And I sit on his bed and woof, and I spill his orange juice on his blanket. Mum comes in and says, "Oh, get out, get out. Look what you've done." My brother has pneumonia and the house is quiet. The watch. My mum and dad gave me a watch. Not a posh watch, good enough to tell the time by though. And it went well enough until one day at a camp we were playing smugglers and customs over the sand dunes. I was a smuggler and I had to get £20,000 through the customs for us to win the game. £20,000 written on a piece of paper. There were 3 ways to get past the customs. 1, by running so fast the customs couldn't catch you. 2, by going creepy crawly so they couldn't see you. And 3, going through the customs with it hidden somewhere. I chose 3. I chose to hide it on me somewhere. But where? I know, I said. I'll stuff it in my watch. And I took the bag off my watch, folded up the piece of paper with the £20,000 written on it, slipped it into the watch and clipped the back of my watch on. So then I went creepy crawly over the sand dunes. They saw me, they grabbed me, and they searched me. They looked in my pockets. They looked in my shoes. They looked in my socks. They looked in my jumper, down my jumper, down my shirt, in my armpits. They even looked under my watch, but they never thought to look in my watch, did they? So they let me go. And when I got to the other end, where the other smugglers were, I said, "Hooray! I got through!" And I opened up the back of my watch, and there it was, £20,000. I took it out, handed it over, and we had won the game. I snapped the back of my watch on, looked at the time, and my watch, it stopped. It was broken. I'd broken it. That evening, I told my brother all about it, and I said, "Don't tell Mum or Dad about it, or I'll get into trouble. I'll get it mended secretly." So there we were, tea time, and my brother suddenly goes, "What's the time, Mick?" And I went all red and kind of flustered, and I go, and I look at my watch and I go, it's about 6 o'clock. "No, it's not," says my dad. "It's 7 o'clock. And he sees me going red. "Is your watch going wrong?" No, it's okay. "Let's have a look." No, it's all right. Let's have a look. Let me have a look at it. It stopped. It's broken. How did it get broken? "I don't know." "What do you mean, you don't know?" My brother was still laughing all over his face without making a sound. So then I told my dad all about the smugglers and customs and hiding the money in my watch. He was furious. "We gave you the watch so you could tell the time, not for you to use as part of a secret agent smuggling outfit. Well, don't expect us to buy you presents like that again." I was so angry with my brother for getting me into trouble. Inside, I was bubbling. So as soon as tea was over, I went down to our backyard where there was an old cherry tree, and I broke a twig off it. And it was all prickly and flaky and covered in a kind of grey, slimy muck. So then I took this twig back upstairs into our bedroom, and I'll tell you what I did with it. I shoved it into his bed. And as I shoved it into his bed, I thought, this'll pay him back, this'll pay him back,
this'll pay him back. He's going to get into bed tonight after I'm asleep, and his feet are going to get all prickled up and covered in grey, mucky, slimy stuff. Well, later that evening, I was doing some homework, and I had some really hard sums to do. I couldn't do them. I was stuck. And my brother, he sees me scribbling out all these numbers, and the page is a mess. So my brother, he says, "What's up? Do you want a bit of help with your sums?" What could I say to that? First I go, no. It's all right. But he goes, "No, come on, I'll lend you a hand." So I say, "Okay." And he comes over and he helps me. He's sitting there right next to me, my enemy, showing me how to do my sums. And then he said, "Now you try." And then I could do them. So there I was, friends with him, grateful. I'm saying, "Thanks. Thanks for helping me." But in the back of my mind, I know something. The twig was still in the bed. I didn't know what to say. All I could see was the twig sitting in his bed, just where his feet would get it. Even if I went and got it out, there'd still be a heap of dirty, prickly bits left in his bed after he showed me how to get all the sums right. So I go, "Look, when you go to bed tonight, there'll be a twig in your bed." So he goes, "A twig in my bed? A twig in my bed? How did it get there then?" So I say, "I put it there." And my mum and dad heard that. So my dad goes, "You put a twig in his bed? Did I hear that right? You put a twig in his bed? Might I ask, why did you put a twig in his bed?" And I just couldn't say. I just sat there like a lemon. I couldn't say it was to pay him back for telling on me about the watch, because they wouldn't think there was anything wrong with him doing that. So I just sat there, and then I said, "I don't know." What a stupid thing to say. And my dad goes, "You don't know why you put a twig in his bed? You don't know why?" The boy's going mad. First thing he does is smash up his watch, and the next thing, he's going round stuffing twigs in people's beds. He's going stark, staring mad, I tell you. I didn't think I was going mad. And I don't think my brother did. I bet he knew why I put a twig in his bed. The youngest. I'm the youngest in our house, so it goes like this. My brother comes in and says, "Tell him to clear the fluff out from under his bed." And Mum says, "Clear the fluff out from under your bed?" Father says, "You heard what your mother said." "What?" I said. "The fluff," he says. "Clear the fluff out from under your bed." So I say, "There's fluff under his bed too, you know." So Father says, "But we're talking about the fluff under your bed." "You will clear it up, won't you?" Mum says. So now my brother, all puffed up, says, "Clear the fluff out from under your bed, clear the fluff out from under your bed." Now I'm angry. I am angry. So I say, what shall I say? I say, "Shut up, Stinks. You can't rule my life." Washing up. On Sundays, my mum and dad said, "Right, we've cooked the dinner. You two can wash it up." And then they went off to the front room. So then we began. First there was the row about who was to wash and who was to dry. My brother said, "You're too slow at washing. I have to hang about waiting for you." So I said, "You always wash. It's not fair." "Hard cheese," he says. "I'm doing it." So that was that. Whoever dries has to stack the dishes, he says. So that's me, stacking the dishes while he's getting the water ready. Now, quite often we used to have mustard with our Sunday dinner, and we didn't have it out of a tube. One of us used to make it with the powder in an egg cup, and there was nearly always some left over. Anyway, my brother, he'd be washing up by now, and he's standing there at the sink, his hands in the water. I'm drying up, and suddenly he goes, "Quick, quick, quick, quick! Come over here, you're going to miss it, quick, 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 come on, you'll miss it." "What?" I say, "Quick, quick, quick, come on, in the water." And I say, what do you mean, "Give us your hand, he says. And he grabs my hand, and then my finger. "What?" I say. "That," he says. And he pulls my finger under the water and stuffs it into the egg cup with leftover blobs of old mustard stuck to the bottom. It's all slimy. Oh, horrible! I was an idiot to have believed him. So I go on drying up. Suddenly, I feel a little speck of water on my neck. I look up at the ceiling. Where'd that come from? I look at my brother. He's grinning all over his big face. "Oi, cut that out!" He grins again, sticks his finger under the water in the bowl and... "Oi, that got me right in my face." Did it? He's well pleased. So now it's my turn. I've got the drying up cloth, haven't I? And I've been practising for ages on the kitchen door handle. Now he's got his back to me, washing up, and out goes the cloth like a whip. And he catches him right on the... Ow! That hurt! I didn't hurt you. Now it's me grinning. So he goes, "All right, let's call it quits." "Okay," I say. 1-1, fairy squarey. So I go on drying up. What I don't know is that he's got the empty washing up bottle under the water. Blub, 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 blub. It's filling up with dirty, soapy water. And next thing, it's out of the water and he's gone... and it's squished all over my face. "Got you in the mush," he says. "Right, that's it," I say. "I've had enough." And I go upstairs and I get his old bicycle cape. Yeah, one of those capes that you can wear when you ride a bicycle in the rain. So I come down in the bicycle cape and I say, "Okay, I'm ready for anything you've got now. You can't get me now, can you?" So next thing, he's got the little washing up brush and it's got little bits of meat fat and squashed peas stuck in it. And he's come up to me and he's up under the cape with it, and he's working it round and round under my jumper and under my chin. So that makes me really wild, and I make a grab for anything that'll hold water, dip in the sink and fling it at him. Yeah, what I don't know is that while I went upstairs to get the cape, he's got a secret weapon ready. It's his bicycle pump. He's loaded it with the dirty washing up water by sucking it all in. He picks it up and it's squirt again all over my hair. Suddenly the door opens. "Have you finished the..." It's Mum and Dad. Just look at this. Look at the pair of them. And there's water all over the floor, all over the table. And all we've washed up is 2 plates and the mustard pot. My dad says, "You can't be trusted to do anything you're asked, can you?" He always says that. Mind you, the floor was pretty clean after we'd mopped it all up. Trouble. Once my brother was in trouble, big trouble, and he was sent to his room, and I went upstairs to talk to him. And he told me how it was really unfair, and it was all Dad's fault. And didn't I agree it was all Dad's fault? And I felt sorry for my brother, and I wondered how I could help. And I thought, I know I could shout something really horrible about our dad, and that would make my brother feel better, because then my brother would know that I was on his side. So I thought, what shall I shout? I know, I'll shout, "Stinky old Dad!" I'll shout it really loud, and that'll help. That'll help my brother feel better. So I stood up on my bed and I started to shout, "Stinky old Dad!" But the thing is, I only got as far as "Stinky old Dad" when Dad walked in, right in the middle of me shouting that. I stopped just in time. The thing is, Dad didn't hear me. He just walked straight in and had another go at my brother. And all the time Dad was going on and on and on and on and on. We were trying not to laugh. We didn't dare look at each other, but I could hear my brother making tiny little snorty noises in his nose, and I coughed to cover up my laughing. Then Dad walked out, and we fell into a great heap of giggles, saying, "Stinky old Dad! Stinky old Dad!" over and over again. This poem comes from Jelly Boots, Smelly Boots, with wonderful pictures, by David Tasman, published by Bloomsbury. Tricks. Nearly every morning, my brother would lie in bed, lift his hands up in the air, full stretch, then close his hands around an invisible bar. "Ah, my magic bar," he'd say. Then he'd heave on the bar, pull himself up until he was sitting up in bed. Then he'd get up, and I said, "You haven't got a magic bar above your bed." "I have," he said. "You haven't," I said. "Don't believe me then," he said. "I won't. Don't worry," I said. "Doesn't make any difference to me if you do or you don't," he said, and went out of the room. "Magic bar," I said. "Mad. He hasn't got a magic bar." I made sure he had gone downstairs. Then I walked over to his bed and waved my hand about in the air above his pillow. "I knew it," I said to myself. "Didn't fool me for a moment." Fly racing. We lie on our backs in the tent, looking up at the roof where the flies walk and hop and fly. There are bluebottles and horseflies and houseflies and midges. My brother says it's a race, and he gives them names. The housefly he calls Joe Soap. The horsefly he called Thugger. The midge he calls Tiddlybottom. Then he starts the racing commentary. "And Joe Soap is heading for the line. Oh no, he's coming back. Tiddlybottom is stuck. Tiddlybottom hasn't moved. Thugger is powering into the lead, and little Tiddlybottom seems to be stuck." And I'm giggling, and he's shouting, and I'm giggling, and my dad suddenly puts his head through the tent door. "You've woken us up. It's 5:30 in the morning. We come on holiday to rest and relax, and all we can hear is you two roaring your heads off in the middle of the night." And my brother says, "But you said it was 5:30 in the morning. That's not the middle of the night." "Enough," says my dad, and his head disappears from the tent door. "We'll talk about this later." Oh no, not the later thing. And I lay there, pointing up at Tiddlybottom. He hadn't moved. He was still there. And we lay there laughing so hard, but oh so quietly, that there were tears streaming out of our eyes, and we buried our faces in our sleeping bags. Later, we got the later thing.
tidy your room. They say, tidy your room. But I'm trying to kill a fly on the wall with a rolled up comic. Pew! They say, I'm asking you to tidy your room, but I'm trying to kill the fly by squashing it with a chunk of plasticine. They say, I'm now telling you to tidy your room, and I'm rolling up little bits of plasticine. For the last time, tidy your room, but I'm making a line of the rolled up bits of plasticine along the edge of the chair. They say, can you hear me? I say, yeah. I'm now flicking the bits of plasticine at the fly on the wall. They say, what have we just asked you to do? And I say, I don't know.
Going through the old photos. Me, my dad and my brother, we were looking through the old photos. Pictures of my dad with a broken leg, and my mum with big flappy shorts on, and me on a tricycle, when we got to one of my mum with a baby on her knee. And I go, is that me or Brian, my brother? And my dad says, let's have a look. Oh, it isn't you or Brian, he says. It's Alan. He died. He would have been 2 years younger than Brian and 2 years older than you. He was a lovely baby. How did he die? Whooping cough. I was away at the time. He coughed himself to death in Connie's arms. The terrible thing is, it wouldn't happen today. But it was during the war, you see, and they didn't have the medicines. That must be the only photo of him that we've got. Me and Brian looked at the photo. We couldn't say anything. It was the first time we'd ever heard about Alan. For a moment, I felt ashamed, like as if I'd done something wrong. I looked at the baby, trying to work out who he looked like. I wanted to know what another brother would have been like. No way of saying. And Mum looked so happy. Of course, she didn't know when they took the photo that he would die, did she? Funny thing is, though my father mentioned it every now and then over the years, Mum never. And he never said anything in front of her about it, and we never let on that we knew. What I've never figured out was whether her silence was because she was more upset about it than my dad, or less. Strawberry jam. My brother is the world's best strawberry fisher. He'll find strawberry in any jar of strawberry jam anywhere in the whole world. From the outside, the jar might look as if there are just 1 or 2 tiny bits of strawberry in it. I stick my knife in, and all I pull out is the strawberry jelly stuff, with no strawberries in it. But once he gets hold of the jar, he goes dipping with his knife, sliding the knife into the jam, very, very slowly, turning it around, prodding, probing, nudging deep down into the dark red. And it's not long before he pulls out a fat strawberry. There it sits on the end of his knife. Look at that, he says. Done it again. That's not fair, I say. Mum, look, he's fished out a strawberry and I don't get any. And I have to sit and watch him slowly open his mouth, gently lifting his slice of toast up, and then see him inching it with the fat strawberry sitting on the top, straight into his mouth. Look, Mum, look what he's doing. And I hear the mulchy sound inside his mouth as he munches it up. Sometimes, when Mum isn't looking, he opens his mouth to show me the mushed up toast and strawberry in there, sticking to his tongue and teeth. It would be great if you subscribed, that is, become a subscriber. That way you get to see when I post up new vids.